Maybe another one? Can't spell, can't write. Brain drain. Actually,
What'd you eat?
The lakeside, and like everything was fried.
Oh yeah.
Huh? I don't mind like one thing fried or something, but I was just
Eat you the entire meal.
Oh, we got here. Let's see. Charlotte.
his birthday. Is
That was Jerry's.
this where we make that?
That's me.
Hi, Charlotte.
Jerry.
Yeah.
I go back from here. Where you're back.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, Charlotte. How are you, honey?
I'm back. I'm doing great.
Large pizza.
How you feeling?
Oh, really?
Excellent. 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 Healed real fast.
Good.
I'm still healing, but yeah.
Hey,
Everything
don't
went
don't forget get all your
Oh
little,
shit.
all your
Oh, that's
sponsees together on June 27th. We're doing the relationships.
I forgot to get that paperwork for you.
Oh, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Good, good. I just
Yeah.
remembered. Oh my God, I've had so much going on. Well, good. I'm glad you got it. Yes, I will get them together for that. And when is that again?
June 27th at, from 3 to 5 o'clock.
Boss lady's here. We can start now.
Hey, Deb.
What's up, boss lady?
How are you, honey?
I'm good, how are you?
Hey, I want hers.
Yeah, it's from 2 to 4, but she's on the East Coast, so.
Thank you. Everybody needs hugs.
Everything you thought it would.
Okay, what was the time again, Danny? I'm sorry.
Your time is from 3 to 5 o'clock.
Okay, and that's Sunday. Okay, cool. I got it. I'm
Yeah,
putting it in my calendar.
Same thing, just sign into this.
Okay, perfect.
Your workshop
Uh-huh.
is the day of Pride,
Is what?
the day of Pride, it's the Pride Parade,
Okay, my
Cause I'll
workshop.
forget.
your relationship workshop.
Oh, you kidding?
Yeah,
Oh,
so I won't be here.
oh, all right.
Uh-oh. I don't wanna make that work.
I had to cancel it last year altogether.
We won't forget. Who's gonna do it?
June 27th, that's when it is? Okay,
Fine, and I will do it for
let me
us.
get somebody help. So there's no banquet dinner at the convention, huh?
So far, they haven't allowed us to have one. So we can do everything else
Yeah.
in there, you know. So all the food's gonna have to go through the hospitality room,
All right.
which
Thanks, guys.
COVID's done.
Yeah.
We're past it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Damn it.
Hey, Gerald.
How you doing?
Good. You had your earbuds in and you were like this, and I was like, I wasn't gonna disturb you. Yeah.
Because it was a really good song.
I always hate it at the gym.
Oh,
You know, I got my earbuds in. Don't- Why are you talking to me? Do you not see this?
they do it all the time at work to me, man. The
Yeah.
guy Johnny, the guy, God bless his heart. He's a good kid and all, man, but he loves so whenever I have to do this, like whenever he starts trying to talk to me or something like that, I'm like, okay. But whenever it's done, I turn around and look up, I'm like, pressing play. Every time, no matter what.
The boss's secretary. It'll be at the busiest time of the day. Phones are blowing out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Friday, Monday, sure.
But I mean, it'll be something like, this is what happens when you put a Coke in your sneezer.
Your parents raised you in a basement. Like, they didn't let you out until you were 8. You've only been out 4 years.
Bless your heart. She's so sweet though.
You were born to be an introvert, weren't you?
She's something else. How you doing, Dad? You look cute. Well, thank you. I'm doing okay.
Just come right out of free gardening. Try to clean my legs up and making mud. Might have to scroll on it. Oh, I'm just thinking about it.
The weather got nice.
Thank you. Yeah. That was leftover lunch.
Oh, we got Tom Adams. What's up, pal? Larry. Hey, Greg.
How you doing there, Danny?
All right, buddy. Hey, John.
We're all in it. In summer.
Yeah, I'll try to do that.
Well, plus we never get a gradual. One or the other.
Hi.
I'm glad he's getting moved.
Hey, coffee back here, Deb. All right, put it up here.
Didn't you learn?
I didn't have to learn. You don't have to learn.
Listen.
I often do that.
No,
Okay.
no.
I'll go check.
They didn't do the fire last time.
No, they didn't. They did it in the.
Baruch.
Yeah,
What's up, bro?
I remember I got boxing pies.
So there's no banquet at the convention, huh?
Now they're not, no, they're not serving. Hotel association, that's all that shit is, you know.
Yeah.
Very limited, their breakfast is very limited.
Yeah, the kid called me up. Some kid called me up. I told him to send some pizzas, so I got to pick him up.
Who was it that called you?
Chris? Is that Chris or Rick?
I've been a Rick.
It was Rick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh?
Now. I'm gonna wash my legs off and make it muddy.
Just don't snore during the play.
No.
Thin crowd
Yeah,
tonight.
they're dropping like flies. How you doing there? They're dropping like
Scott?
Scott.
No, he's got a new job,
Yeah.
driving a truck for Delisi.
Oh, wow.
Slanging rocks.
I tried to.
Hey, he's slinging rock.
A little bit, Joe.
How you doing?
Oh, took me a minute.
I get it.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm all
My
over it.
direction too.
All right. Oh, boy.
How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Doing all right?
Yeah, do you know Mike Bush? Lives down in Florida. He's been sober for about 32 years.
I don't know.
He's
Where's he live at?
Around the Lakeland area.
No, that's not near one.
I'll return that. How are you doing? I'm Ronnie, by the way.
I'm Debbie.
Nice to meet you. I was gonna ask you something and I can't remember what it was. I'll think of it. No, I-
It's called a mature moment.
Oh, there goes thrown down.
So, yeah, wait till. And I just.
Jerry's missing again?
So we went down to my dad's house, clean it out, and we decided we weren't gonna have to get fixed up. So we started burning the shit out of there.
Really?
We live on a farm,
Uh-huh.
so we got a burn pit,
Oh, wow.
and there was gasoline
I
love it.
and aerosol cans. And I was sober, so we had fun. You ever wonder why a house goes up so fast? Burn a chair saw. Like
A chair?
Like a lazy boy.
My rear.
Burn fast and hot.
Yeah.
Do some mattresses on there. I mean, it burns really, really hot, but in 10 minutes it's over.
What town is this?
Tyler, Texas.
Tyler, Texas.
Outside of
They're
Tyler.
all over your place.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? Selling the house?
It's not your.
His wife's two sons are gonna come in and pick up furniture, and the rest of us are coming to Habitat.
Uh,
Down there, they have one of those outlet stores. down
Yeah.
there. They're gonna give that to them, and then we're gonna sell, it's on 24 acres,
Oh, wow.
sell that.
Like, put that whole thing in the plastic thing, gave me the whole too big.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm dumping them out. 'Cause eventually then you have to see this.
Is this all the people in there?
All that. Throw those down too. I need stuff to do. But I do
That's like
care.
JJ
I
dumped
can't
in
get through, but I like that.
JJ1, JJ2. You wanna let them do it?
I
No,
know,
I don't
can't.
let it in.
I asked Ricky.
Oh, I was in.
Hey, I got a question.
Oh,
Yeah.
Are you guys coming to the relationship thing?
We're planning on it.
Could
Are
you
you gonna
do,
be
could
there?
you do this? Because Deb can't come.
If we last that long, we'll be there.
Give Jerry
The day and the time
For
program.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you.
I gotta go hang out with the homos
Yeah.
one day.
Why?
It's the Pride Parade,
Oh, is it?
Pride Festival, yeah.
Yeah, my friend.
Nice dress. Looks like one of my shirts.
Really? They're having it down at Scissortail Park, and there's gonna be at Scissortail Park instead of 39th Street like they always have for 100 years. So,
Right.
I mean, they're having like a community yoga flow class. I mean, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, that is.
All right.
Kathy would walk down there at 39.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
It seems, I mean, at first I was like, you can't not have it on 39. It's 39.
Yeah.
But then again, it's progress. So,
I think it'd be great.
yeah.
Well, last week half of my face was cut out. So let's see.
Probably standing in the wrong spot.
I know. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. All right. Welcome to week 19. Very good. Where? All right. So before we get into step 5, any questions on what we did in the 4th step? I want to make sure that we have, everybody's on the same page and know what they're doing, can pass it on. Any questions on that? Just on step 4? None? Anybody online got a question on the 4th step?
Use the right form.
Yeah, use it. All right, so nobody's got any questions there. Okay. Let's go to page 72 in the book. I'm figuring we got about 10 more weeks left, maybe 11. Okay, into action. So now it's not, if you notice, the title of this chapter is not about, it doesn't say into thinking, into procrastinating, into worrying, it's into action. Let's get busy. Having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We've been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and to discover the obstacles in our path. We've admitted certain defects. We've ascertained in a rough way what the trouble is. We'll put our finger on the weak items in our personal inventory. So again, he's talking about not our strengths. Now these are about to be cast out. This requires action on our part, which when completed will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. This brings us to the 5th step in the program of recovery mentioned in the preceding chapters. So we're talking about God, ourselves, and others, right? What do you think? What is the purpose of that? Admitting to God, to ourselves, and to others. What is the purpose of that?
Being outside of ourselves.
Huh? We admit to God for forgiveness. We admit to ourselves for understanding, and to others for humility. And when we admit to God for forgiveness, it's all about to love. You remember the triangle that we started on week 1 or week 2, and we did all the things that went along with recovery, unity, and service. To love, to learn, to serve. You remember that? Well, that's coming right back at us right here. We admit to God to love, we admit to ourselves to learn, and we admit to others to serve.
Why you said we mix our God?
We do for forgiveness, but it's I'm comparing it to the triangle and the
Oh, okay.
circle
All right, so we admit to ourselves to learn.
to understand, and to others for humility. But it's also to learn, to love, to learn, to serve. That's what we covered when we did the Recovery Union Service, remember? So he says, this is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. We think we have done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There is no doubt about that. In actual practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. Many of us thought it necessary to go much further. We'll be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. The best reason first. If we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. So what he's saying, if you don't do a fifth step, you're probably going to get drunk. Okay. So what's the best reason to do a fourth step? If you don't do a fourth step, you can't do a fifth step. If you don't do a fifth step, you're probably going to get drunk. Time after time, newcomers tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives. Trying to avoid these humbling experiences, they have turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. So I'll share with you a little with my fifth step. I think I might have already. I'm not sure, but I did part of my fifth step with my sponsor, and I did part of my fifth step with a priest. Okay. By birth, I'm Roman Catholic anyway, so I understand that particular process, confession. So if you got something that you don't want to share with somebody, go see a priest. I'm not sure about the other religions, but in the Catholic religion, it's a code that they can't break, that they can't share that with anybody. So that's a safe place to share something. But you got to get rid of it. You gotta be able to have spoke to another human being about all your stuff.
How come you turn?
Huh?
How come you turn?
Well, there's some things. So I did things. I didn't get sober to spend the rest of my life in prison.
There you go. Somebody should
So
work
some things are better left not said to somebody.
Right.
Okay. So, but you need to say them to someone, and that's why a priest is a good spot there. You know. Yes.
Danny, in most states, there's a penitent right privilege. Almost every state has that provides to say things to the person in confidence. That it's privileged, unless something you can do in the future. You know, if it's something you've already done, it's in your past, it's privileged. It's not supposed to.
Right.
In law enforcement, not in.
Yeah, and on top of that, with the Catholic Church, it's a sacrilege, that something that you have with the, because supposedly when you talk to the priest in confession, you're talking to God. That's the idea behind it. So you can't share that, you know.
And in some states, you tell your sponsor that he has information on crime or something like that, he's withholding it.
They what?
He has information about something.
Yeah.
You know, he might be obligated to say something.
He has no immunity for that. When I first got sober back in 1991, or it might have been early in 92, there was a case in New York where a guy was in the program. He was in AA. He went out and got loaded, and he killed his ex-wife. And he shared that with his sponsor and a couple other people. Long story short, they were subpoenaed and brought on the trial, and they got on the stand, and the two guys took the fifth. They tried to take the fifth, and they used that it was told to them in confidence in Alcoholics Anonymous. And the judge said, I'm going to tell you only one time. If you don't answer the questions, you're going to jail. You have no immunity for that. So, you know, one time, you know, I used to have a lot of, Barry remembers, we used to all the time have pool parties and barbecues at my house. And we were having a big pool party one time, and some guy, I don't even know, came up to me and said, can I talk to you? I said, yeah. We went to sit down, and he started sharing with me about, you killed this guy. Oh, stop. Don't want to hear no more. You're telling the wrong person. You need to go find a priest or somebody to talk to about that. I don't want to hear it. And I got up and walked away from it. So, but I had no knowledge of what he did, and I didn't want any knowledge of that. But so, those are the kind of things that you want to talk to priests about. You don't want to share that with somebody else. So, a priest, when you're talking with a priest, that's a human being. You're looking them in the eye and you're telling them, as long as you get rid of it, that's the main thing. Okay, back to the book. He says, more than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. I kind of led a triple life. He is very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. This is the one he likes his fellows to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. The inconsistency is made worse by the things he does on his sprees. Coming to his senses, he is revolted at certain episodes he vaguely remembers. Deb, can you get me some coffee, please? Thank you.
If anybody wants to jot this down. Oklahoma, except it is the strongest.
Very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he's saying. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Where am I at? So these memories are a nightmare. He trembles to think someone might have observed him. As fast as he can, he pushes these memories far inside himself. He hopes they will never see the light of day. He is under constant fear and tension that makes for more drinking. Psychologists are inclined to agree with us. We have spent thousands of dollars for examinations. We know but few instances where we have given these doctors a fair break. We have seldom told them the whole truth, nor have we followed their advice. Unwilling to be honest with these sympathetic men, we are honest with no one else. Small wonder many in the medical profession have a low opinion of alcoholics and their chance for recovery. We must be entirely honest with somebody if we expect to live long and happily in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think well before we choose the person or persons with whom to take this intimate and confidential step. See, person or persons. So over here, he's leading to you, let you know you don't have to be one person. You sit down and tell them everything. Those of us belonging to a religious denomination which requires confession must, and of course, will want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it is to receive it. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk with someone ordained by an established religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problem. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand alcohol. See, so my experience is this. It's much better to share with somebody that's in the program. You get better feedback and you get more AA related talk back and forth. So if you can share it with somebody in the program, you're better off. But again, be careful with what you say to somebody, If we cannot or would rather not do this, we search our acquaintance for a closed-mouthed, understanding friend. Perhaps our doctor or psychiatrist will be the person. It may be one of our own family, but we cannot disclose anything to our wives or parents which will hurt them and make them unhappy. We have no right to save our own skin at another person's expense. Such parts of our story we tell to someone who will understand, yet be unaffected. The rule is we must be hard on ourselves, but always considerate of others. So, notwithstanding the great necessity for discussing ourselves with someone, it may be one that is so situated that there is no suitable person available. If that is so, this step may be postponed only, however, if we hold ourselves in complete readiness to go through with it at the first opportunity. So here he's telling us that it doesn't have to be done right. The sooner the better, but you're better off waiting to do it right than to, just jump in and start telling everybody your life story. So, we say this because we are very anxious that we talk to the right person. It's important that he be able to keep a confidence and that he fully understand and approve what we are driving at. That he will not try to change our plan, but we must not use this as a mere excuse to postpone. So he says, when we had decided who was to hear our story, we waste no time. And one of the things that I like about the sheets that I gave you on the fourth step, when you go over the sheets with your sponsor, line by line, you're pretty much doing your fifth step right there. So after you've gone through all those sheets, then you have to think, is there something that that's not on these sheets that I need to share with somebody? I mean, usually the first question somebody that does a lot of fifth steps is going to ask you is, what is it you're not telling me? What secrets? They say in AA, we're only as sick as our secrets, right? So, it's a good process when you go through that fourth step sheet. You've pretty much gotten everything out. So you pretty much covered most of your fifth step with your sponsor. Okay, we pocket our pride and go to illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, we are delighted. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone and at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us. We begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. Did I share with you my experience when I did my fifth step? I was back in my neighborhood the next day having coffee. So so what happened to me was I didn't feel this, what he's talking about, a one with the world and all that kind of stuff. I didn't get any of that. It was months, and I can't even pinpoint exactly when it was, but it was months before I got any relief because I had just violated everything that I had grown up and been schooled to do tell on myself, John Gotti, if you remember who he was, he had a famous saying. He said, if I was coming out of the church with the steeple up my ass and sticking out of my ass and they grabbed me, I would deny it. Yeah. So, with that kind of stuff, you learn how to, when you get here, this is like, people talk about all different steps. When I got here and looked at the fifth step, I went, that's never going to happen. Yeah.
Is remorse required? Remorseful to indulge in, including whatever that is.
So what he's asking is remorse required? Do you have to be remorseful to indulge in that? And the answer to that is absolutely not. 100% no. Because when I did my fifth step, and I did some really, really horrible things. I was not remorseful about most of them. I was remorseful about a few of them, but I didn't have that going on. But I did my fifth step anyway, because we have to share. We have to get out all of our secrets and stuff. So we eventually become free. So no, you don't have to feel any certain way. You just have to do it. And after you've done it, now today, all these years later, am I remorseful over the things that I did 40 years ago? Not 100%, but most of them didn't. But that was who I was and that was the life I lived and I'm different today. And that's the way I look at that. So, I don't think, I don't think it's a requirement that you be remorseful to do your fifth step. So he says, we may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. We feel we're on a broad highway walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. I didn't have any of that going on. So if you don't have that when you're doing your fifth step, don't worry. And none of that happened for me immediately. Again, I can't even tell you when it happened, but it was months after that. Now, this next paragraph, he's given us 8 different directions or 8 different instructions, if you will. And he wants us to do 8 things. And a lot of people would be surprised doing the fifth step and don't cover this stuff. So he says, number 1, returning home, we find a place where we can be quiet for an hour, carefully reviewing what we have done. So how many people have done their fifth step and then went home and found a quiet place for an hour? Okay. And how many of you reviewed what you have done? Okay, good. Number 2, we thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know him better. Number 3, taking this book down from our shelf. I always thought that was funny because you shouldn't have it on your shelf. It should be more handy than that, right? We turn to the page which contains the 12 steps. Number 4, carefully reading the first 5 proposals, we ask if we have omitted anything for building an arch to which we shall walk a free man at last. So here we're going to go over the first 5 steps, and we can do that in a minute. So the 5th thing is our work solid so far? The 6th thing he's asking us to do, are the stones properly in place? The 7th thing is, have we skimped on the cement put into the foundation? And the last thing he's asking us to do is, have we tried to make mortar without sand? Got to answer these questions. These are instructions from the book that need to be answered. So at this point, we're going to say, okay, what did we learn in step 1? Who wants to answer that? What did we learn from step 1? Powerless and unmanageable. Okay. What else did we learn?
I can't do it on my own.
You probably get that. You probably get that, but it's not directly here. But that's probably correct too.
So what is the problem? What's the solution? It's program of action.
Okay. You learned all of that from step 1. You learned what the problem is.
Yeah, the
You
problem.
learned what the problem is.
But I'm an alcoholic.
Okay. And you're sure about that because you've learned to fully concede to your innermost self that you're alcoholic, right? Okay. And you learn that you have a disease of mind and body, mental and physical. Your mind tells you to do it when you know you shouldn't do it, and your body ensures that you keep doing it once you start, right? So these are the things you learned in the first step. What did you learn in step 2?
Either God can or isn't.
Either God is or isn't. What's your choice to be? What else did you learn?
Hope.
Hope. You get hope in step 2.
Try to be willing to have the idea that a higher power.
Okay. Okay.
Same.
Did you not learn in step 2 that that God loves you? Did we not start gathering that, getting that feeling? Right? We remember we did the fake it till you make it prayer. That God, I don't believe you are all these things, right? But today I'm going to act as if you are, and then that goes away. Has anybody, by the way, done that prayer and it hasn't worked yet? Anybody?
I've never done that prayer. Never really.
Okay. So has anybody, how many people tried that prayer for a while? So I'm assuming it worked for you guys now. Okay. I told you back then that nobody's ever told me it didn't work. So in all these years and all these thousands of people all over the place, nobody's ever told me it didn't work. Okay. So you learn that God loves you. Okay. And that God is. Okay. And what'd you learn in the third step? Step 3. What'd you learn in step 3? Trust God. Okay. You shouldn't be running your life because you learned that self-will, right? That the first requirement is that you be convinced that any life run on self-will could hardly be a success, right? And so you went and spent time about that, and you learned what the difference is between your will and your life, your thinking and your actions, okay? And you learn that you're going to turn it over to the care of God, that you're not giving nothing to God, you're giving it over to the care of God. That you do the work and he does the work, and you get out of the result business. Remember that? Okay. Okay. And now in the fourth step, what'd you learn in the fourth step?
Where was that from? Where was that from?
You learned in resentments, you learned just how mad you were at the world. In fears, you learned just how fearful you were of everything. Yeah. Yeah, those are the manifestations of self, aren't they? All of those things. The self manifested in various ways, the book says. So we learned all those things, and we learned about people that we hurt, and we learned about things that we did sexually that weren't good. And important, you learn. I gave you a mantra to remember. Step 4. Resentment comes from a threat to any basic instinct in my life. Can't do anything about other people. Can't do anything about what people do. But maybe with God's help, I can act differently and not get mad. If I don't get mad, I don't have anger. If I don't have anger, I don't have a resentment. If I don't have a resentment, I'm not blocked off from God. And that fear comes from a threat to any basic instinct of my life. You also learn that in the fourth step. Again, can't do anything about people, can't do anything about what people do, but maybe with God's help, I can react differently and not be afraid. If I'm not afraid, I don't have fear. If I don't have fear, I'm not blocked off from God.
Basic instincts.
3 basic instincts. What, you have your fourth step sheet there? Go to your sheet, you'll see them on column 3. Social instinct, security instinct, and sexual instinct. All 3 are God-given, therefore good and right. And we've learned in this fourth step how we've taken all of those God-given basic instincts way out of proportion, way out into left field, and we've warped them because our selfishness and self-centeredness demanded that we live like that. And none of the things that we did on those basic instincts had anything to do with the reason God gave them to us. God gave us the 3 basic instincts for what reason? That's right. So we would not become extinct. Okay? He gave us the social instinct, so because everybody is born with the desire to be liked and respected. And if I embrace that, then I have to understand that you too want to be liked and respected. And I'll be kinder to you. We won't kill each other. Okay? But we take that way out of left field, way out in the left field. God gave us the security instinct so we would not perish from the elements and the weather, and we would eat so we wouldn't starve to death, right? So the food and the shelter and the clothing, these things are the security instinct. We're all born with the desire to be secure. somehow we've warped that into, I need a, 5,000 square foot house, with a 60-foot swimming pool in the backyard, and new shoes every week, So, and God gave us the sexual instinct, obviously, so we would reproduce. Don't forget, God made sex enjoyable, so we would do it. We weren't enjoyable, we wouldn't want to do it. So God purposely made sex enjoyable. And the purpose of that is so we can reproduce and we would not become extinct. All right, so this is all the stuff you learn in the 4th step. You're going over this now when you're sitting down for an hour quietly and what did I learn? And did I skimp on any of this stuff? Do I understand it? All of the stuff we just talked about from step 1 to just now and step 4, are you able to teach somebody else that? If you had to turn around and start working with somebody now, could you teach them what you learned in step 1, in step 2, in step 3, in step 4? Can you help that person? See, if not, then you've skimped on it.
So you do this study, annually,
Yes,
so therefore you're working with steps once a year.
yes.
Okay, because some people just kind of go through the steps and just kind of carry on. I'm thinking about the people I've sponsored and how I've taken the steps. I'm like, I really want to take it this way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a big difference. If I had $1 for everybody that shared about 10, 11, 12 being the maintenance steps, and that's what they do, I could retire, literally retire. I mean, there's no difference. Listen, I've been 10, 15 different countries or more, all over the world and all over the United States, and us drunks are the same all over the damn place. We really ain't no different. And people are saying the same things in those rooms that they're saying here in these rooms. And it's a 12-step program. It's not a 3-step program. It was never designed to take any 1, 2, or 3 steps and work them on an issue. And when we get there, we'll talk about that because 10, 11, 12 are not maintenance steps. They're growth steps. They're to grow. Maintenance means to keep the same, to maintain something, to keep it the same. 10, 11, 12 are growth steps, but they're no good unless they're preceded by 1 through 9. So if I got an issue, I start with step 1 and I go right through. Okay. So
the answer to your question for number 4 is to protect my basic instincts. That's what I'm learning for, is to.
I don't know if protect my basic instincts is the correct way I would say it. I think it's more like understanding my basic instincts and my right God-given reasons that I have them.
Understanding.
Yes. Because none of us, I don't have to know you, none of us have lived by the 3 basic instincts in the framework that God gave them to us. Some of us better than others, but none of us really. So the first 3 steps teach me how to survive my feelings. You might want to write this stuff down. 1, 2, 3, teach me how to survive my feelings. Steps 4 and 5, all right. 1, 2, 3, teach me how to survive my feelings. Steps 4 and 5, show me how my thinking works. Steps 4 and 5, show me how my thinking works. Step 6 is the attitude that thinking produces. Step 6 is the attitude that thinking produces. And step 7 is the behavior of that attitude. Ooh. So I just kind of got a little bit ahead of myself because we're getting ready to go into 6 and 7. But that's what it is. That's what all from one. Does anybody remember what I said to you the first couple of maybe week 1, week 2, or week 3 of this deal? What I told you what the process of recovery is? Does anybody remember?
There's a solution.
No. I said to you, the process of recovery is the first 7 steps.
Right.
You remember that?
The paragraph in there is a solution.
Yes.
So you're done.
Yes. First 7 steps is the process of recovery. If you take a situation, alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, whatever, shopping, whatever if you take a situation and apply the first 7 steps to it, you will have recovered from that situation. We talked about this before. But we still have 5 more steps. So you're not done with nothing, but the process of recovery is clear and done by the first 7 steps. Let's go back to, there is a solution for a minute. If my pages are still here. I think my pages are missing. Yeah. No, I go from 24 to 28. Hold on a minute. It's one of these.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
With what the young lady over here asked about, there's 2 different camps in AA, if not more. But some people sit back, with 5 years sobriety or 12 and say, I worked in step 1, you only have to work all the steps one time and this and that. The other ones will say, well, every year I go through the steps and I work 1 through 12. And the other guy will be like, that's just foolish or something. And, I want to stay young in the program, and I do want to work 12 steps yearly and continually grow. I like how you said between maintenance and growth. That was a great analogy. But the way you just broke the steps down, 1 through 3, and then 5, however, couldn't a man that's active in the program get up in the morning and sit on the edge of his bed and look at the steps and read them just how you broke them down and answer those questions to himself in the morning?
Sure.
And just kind of run through them, the first 7?
Sure. And real quickly.
What a great way to start the day.
Yeah. It's not really how I broke them down. That's how what we learned going through the process in the last 18 weeks here doing that. That's what you should have learned. There's a lot more to it. But anytime, like I said, I go all over the place, and now they're just starting now to start booking conventions and stuff for next year already. I already got 2 booked. But whenever somebody comes to me with something like some of the things you just shared, I've learned to, because I don't want to argue with anybody anymore. So I've learned, here's my answer to that. I go, oh, that's very interesting. Can you show me where it says that in the book? And usually they can't, because it's not in the book.
Yeah, I feel kind of stupid. I've been around. I've never found in the book where it says to work these steps. Can you show me?
Well, it doesn't say to work them manually. It says that we work the 12 steps, right? So.
There's a sentence that says nothing short of continuous action upon the steps.
Yeah, go to page 60 in your book. 60. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So that's not telling you every year. That's telling you every day, every minute of every day. And practice these principles in all our affairs. So as you go through the day, you're supposed to be practicing the 12 steps. And then there's hints like she just shared.
That's in the 12 and 12.
Yeah. But there's hints along the way. We just finished our fourth step, right? And what did it say at the end of the fourth step? It said, page 71. We hope you are convinced now that God can remove whatever self-will has blocked you off from him. If you have already made a decision, third step, and an inventory, fourth step, of your grosser handicaps, you have made a good beginning. Beginning, not an end. That being so, you have swallowed and digested some big chunks of truth about yourself. So you've only made a beginning. It says that in the fourth step. In the third step, it talks about us doing this stuff. So all of the steps, all along the whole process of the all the steps in the big book, it's telling us that, that we have to keep doing this stuff. Not just one time in one place, over and over again. Over and over again. And the 12th step is to practice these principles in all your affairs. So we've in here, we've looked at what the principles are. Remember that? The principles in the forward to the 12 and 12. If you have your 12 and 12 with you, forward to the 12 and 12. Second paragraph, I believe. Third paragraph. AA's 12 steps are a group of principles. So the 12 steps are a group of principles, spiritual in their nature, which, if practiced as a way of life, can expel the obsession to drink and enable the sufferer to become happily and usefully whole. So this is telling us that the 12 steps are a set of principles. So when we talk about practice these principles in all our affairs, we're talking about the 12 steps. Okay? And on page 25, I found my book is. So on page 25, what it says is, in italic, it says there is a solution. Almost none of us like the self-searching, the leveling of our pride, step 4, the confession, step 5, of shortcomings, 6 and 7, which the process requires for a successful consummation. But we saw that it really worked in others, step 2. And we have come to believe in the hopelessness and fertility of life as we have been living it, step 1. The rest of the paragraph, step 3. So this paragraph that says there is a solution covers the first 7 steps. So the first 7 steps is the process of recovery. So I know one of you brilliant minds are thinking, well, why the hell we got 5 more steps? So now, after you've completed the process of recovery, now they want us to go and start cleaning up our past, right? And that's 8 and 9. Okay, got to make a list, get ready to be willing to make the amends, and then go make the amends, right? They want us to. 10 is so we can do all this stuff on a regular basis. That's another thing. That's another spot it tells us to do this, practice every day as we go along. Right, that's the 10th step. Practice these principles. So again, it's telling us to do these steps on a regular basis. And 11 is to improve your relationship with God, and 12 is to carry the message and to Go ahead. Well, there's 3 parts to the 12 step, but you can look at steps 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and you can see that none of them are about the process of recovery. They're now about outside and improving your relationship with God and getting into a rigorous kind of program of action. All right. But the process of recovery, if you look at the first 7 steps, that's laid right out for you there. Did you have something?
Well, do you think it would be fair to say then, for whatever situation I'm applying those 7 steps, that recovery process, if I don't follow it up with the remaining 5 steps, I'm probably going to repeat whatever I just worked the steps on,
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that because,
because the pattern.
because the spiritual growth is not gonna be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So all 12 steps are necessary. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not, I'm not discounting the last 5 steps. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form, we don't need them and they not have a purpose. But the process of recovery, to recover from whatever you're working the steps on, will happen in the first 7 steps. When you've completed step 7, you have completed the process of recovery for whatever you're working the steps on. But you absolutely, what Deb just said is 100% true. You absolutely need the rest of the program. It's a 12-step program. So do you remember week 1, we talked about how they created the program of recovery and how they created the big book, 3 parts. You remember that? Number 1, what is the problem? Number 2, what is the solution? Number 3, what is the program of action? So step 1 is the problem. Step 2 is the solution, and 3 to 12 is the program of action to take you to the solution. So,
A lot of meetings where they call it night, step 9 through 12. rather than, 10 through.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Say them to me, you just said,
What 3?
so step 1,
Step 1 is, what is the problem? Were you not here from the beginning?
I was it.
Okay, this, you know, you can always go on YouTube and look it up. But I think we did that week 1 or week 2. The program is broken into 3 parts. What is the problem? What is the solution? What is the program of action? So step 1 outlines what the problem is. Step 2 outlines what the solution is, and 3 to 12 outline what the program of action is. See, if you're anything like me, I already know more than I'm willing to do. So all this information I keep getting, right, in life, it's just more shit I got. Oh no, I'm already at a point where I know more than I want to do. But how good do I want to feel? How free do I want to be? I was walking into Homeland the other day. I had to get something, and they had a sign. This is in Norman, and had a big sign on the door. It says, please excuse our mess. We're under construction. We hope to have this, make a nicer place for you or something. And I thought about, the program, and everything I do is about the program to me, and I thought about that, and I'm thinking, please excuse my dust because God's not done with me yet. So I got some more work to do, and God's got some more work to do on me and for me.
Thinking about like first 7 steps. I'm changing the oil in my car, 8 through 10. The old oil, if I don't get rid of it, if I just keep piling it up, it becomes a burden.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
relating to that like that. Very helpful.
Yeah, they're all necessary, but if you actually take, oh, I know what I forgot. So we're gonna get in, next week, we're gonna get into 6 and 7, and we're gonna talk a little about the 4 absolutes. So I got these for you, if you, if I got more, if there's not enough there. Don't read them now, but it's really good reading. It's the 4 absolutes. Who is not familiar with the 4 absolutes? Okay, so the Oxford group had 4 absolutes that they lived by. And Bill and Dr. Bob, you got money on the floor behind you. And they're gonna leave it for the sweeper or something. But, no, behind you, yeah, there you go. So Bill and Dr. Bob both, that was one of the things from the Oxford group that they really liked. Bill didn't like much from the Oxford group. He had some problems with their thing, but he did like the 4 absolutes, and so did Dr. Bob. And that pamphlet will tell you, though they're not AA approved literature. They are widely accepted and used in Alcoholics Anonymous for many, many, many years, since the beginning, since the inception of AA. Okay, so you want to read them. There's 4 absolutes. Yes.
I don't know if it helps anybody, but the way I was told about the 12 steps is that that's a recipe for a better life. It's like baking a cake. You want the life that, you know, the doctors describe there in that list.
Yeah.
You follow the right recipe.
Yeah. Yeah. The problem with people like us, though, is we are, you know, we think, oh, a cup of sugar. If I put 2 cups, it's really going to be good. Huh? Yeah, in the drawer in the kitchen on the left. Go down. There's a whole stack of them in there. So the 4 absolutes are really very interesting, because if you utilize them and you get familiar with them, you can apply them to any situation that you have in life, and it's going to help you. So they're not in any particular order, but absolute honesty. Absolute honesty. And the question that we want to ask ourselves there, is it true or is it false? Is that what it says? Honesty, is it true or is it false?
So you just said one of the absolutes so far, right?
Huh?
Yes, that's what it says.
So the question with absolute honesty, is it true or is it false? Absolute purity, is it right or is it wrong? Is it right or is it wrong? Absolute love, is it ugly or is it beautiful? Let me see. There you go. So they cover them all here. And the reading is interesting too. And absolute unselfishness is how will it affect others? But the whole little thing is interesting reading, and it tells you about AA and the Oxford group and them adopting this to their program and how to utilize it. So, and we're gonna talk about that when we work on 6 and 7. But again, look at it. Is it true or is it false? So whatever I'm doing or thinking about doing, I can ask myself, is it true or is it false? Is it right or is it wrong? Is it ugly or is it beautiful? And how will it affect others? If I can answer to the affirmative on all 4 of those, then I could probably go ahead and do what I'm thinking of doing or what I'm doing. If I can answer negative to any one of the 4 of them, I should not do it. I should rethink what I was thinking, because there's something not good there. So the 4 absolutes are really a powerful to use in the program of recovery. All right, we're down to the 5-minute mark, so we'll just do questions and answers. Who's got questions and answers?
So these absolutes, you made a disclaimer, it's not necessarily AA approved.
No, it's not AA approved, but I think in here it explains.
But right there, somewhere in the big book that's, like I've seen a lot of meetings, and once in a while, somebody will come up with some really, pivotal information, like, wow, how did that? But I was at a meeting not too long ago where somebody broke down some 4 promises they read, I forget where it's at, and they broke it down, and they're like, so here's the 4 promises this book guarantees me, or, what I'm talking about, or 4 or 5, or, oh, somewhere in the big book, I guess they're like promises.
Yeah, I call the promises results. You know, they're results. If I do this, then this is what I can expect.
So in your opinion, when is it okay to be selfish? When it's like, because I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess you gotta have boundaries on self-respect, and that I'm selfish to not do something that is, I don't know what I'm saying. I guess maybe.
I know in recovery that when I was fighting for my life, Human Center teaches that those 3 tactics about I ain't the police, I ain't a snitch, I ain't this and that. But if you're silly or your roommate's getting high, I mean, you gotta.
So being selfish is okay when not allowing someone to influence your integrity of the core absolutes.
Yeah, but what you're doing is you're using a negative to describe a positive. So, did everybody hear what he asked? So, instead of using a negative to describe a positive, use a positive to describe the positive. So, I'm not going to allow you to influence me that because my integrity is something today that I have. I have integrity today because of this program, the spiritual path that I'm on. So now you're using a positive to define the positive instead of a negative to define. Selfish, selfish is selfish no matter how. You can't even put it in a good light, But there's lots of positives you can use to say the same thing you're saying. Your concept, I agree with and understand. I just would use a positive rather than a negative to describe it.
Danny?
Yes.
You were going steps 1 through 3, I don't know, 4, 5, 6. 1 through 3 said, teach me how to survive my feelings or my thoughts.
My feelings.
Feelings, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. My feelings that I got from my faults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I've read your book, and I've got all these notes. Some of them I wrote in the book, some of them made separate.
You sure you read my book, or was it somebody else's book?
Put this program, this multi-week program, into a comprehensive outline.
No, because and people have asked me to. I have it online,
right,
but I don't want to write a book about how to work the steps because we already have a book. It's the big book. And that was never my intention when I wrote this. This is not to teach. I shared that with you. It's not to tell you how to work the steps. It's only to tell you how not to work the steps, how the mistakes that people make in working the steps. And the only compiling of that stuff that I have is this, what you see here on YouTube. But I don't want to put it in a book because everybody writes a book about AA. The first thing they say is this is right out of the big book. Well, if it's right out of the big book, I don't need your book. I have a big book. Right? I don't need a book to tell me how to work the steps. But my book is a good guideline for when I'm going off of what somebody shared a little while ago. I forgot who shared it, but that we're doing these things and we don't know. We don't know. And, we only know what we're taught. And if somebody's teaching us that don't know it, we don't know either. So they're passing on something maybe not be correct or something that you won't get the most benefit out of, Again, people share that there's no right or wrong way to work the steps. And the book totally disagrees with that. We went over that at the beginning. The book 100% disagrees with that. It says that there are, I'm having a mature moment. Clear-cut, precise, specific directions. That's what the book says. So the book is telling you that there's clear-cut, precise, and specific directions. And that means that there is a right or wrong way to do it. If there weren't a right or wrong way, then there wouldn't be clear-cut, precise, and specific directions. Simple enough, right? Who else got a question? Questions are good.
Okay. Here a question that
Yes.
might be a little off topic if you don't know it, but you hear all these statistics about or these saying that AIDS watered down, AIDS not the way it used to be, it don't recover like it used to be. It's not what they see back. Then they attribute that to a lot of people in the rooms are here by force, not choice. They're here to get their card signed. The treatment centers are court ordered. Is AA different than in the 40s and 50s? Is it watered down? Is it the softer AA?
Yeah.
Did it work better back then, or were they more rigid back then, or stern back then? Or
Yeah.
do you not know the answer?
I know the answer to every question.
You qualify to be
And if I don't, I make it up.
okay, you're not qualified.
Forward to the second edition. Roman numeral 20, XX. Answers that. He said, AA grew by leaps and bounds. For this, there were two principal reasons: a large number of recoveries and reunited homes. These made their impressions everywhere. Of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapses. And among the remainder, those who stayed on with AA showed improvement. So that came out in 1955. So I think we covered this in here anyway. In 1955, the statistic for sobriety, good sobriety recovery was 75%, 50 at once and 25 after some relapse. 1956, the American Medical Association declared alcoholism a disease. That means that hospitals had to start treating alcoholism, and little by little, we've gotten so far. You go to a treatment center now, they'll give you a sheet. Here's your first step, here's your second step. And some places today, you can't even, not allowed to have a big book. So yeah, we've gotten, but if you follow the directions in the book, I was a straight up drunk in Delphine. I would have ripped your heart out for another shot or another hit. And I got sober on November 21st, 1991, and I have been sober since then continuously. So I'm one of the 50%, so I know that works. We're out of time, guys. Save your questions for next week. Thank you. We got to start on time and end on time. Appreciate it. Same time, same channel next week.
Thank you, Danny.
Thanks, guys.
Danny.
Hi, Bob.
Danny.
How are you, honey? Larry, Tom, Kathy, how are you? Dorothy, Johnny, Dan, how are you, Dan?
Good.
All right, guys.
See
Good
ya.
to see you. See you next week. Hey, guys, make note. June 27th, we're doing the workshop on relationships. Bring your sponsees.